خانم پریساتیس میساقیان رو معرفی کنم. پریساتیس اسم دختر پادشاه هخامنشیانه. She's a fitness wellness coach and nutrition consultant with a background of a computer science from Iran. That now she is pursuing her master's degree in exercise science, injury prevention, and performance at University of Kaliu. Educationشون as certified هستن as a fitness coach at Southern California Health Institute, Bachelor of Computer Science certified هستن, certified personal trainer, exercise specialist, certified fitness nutrition, and pre and postnatal natal, and instructor in many other gym activities. خیلی ممنون خانم که شما دعوت منو قبول کردین. and ممنون بهمون یاد میدن که چطوری توی خونه با این داستان کووید بتونیم هنوزم فیت باشیم، استرچامونو بکنیم، شاید یک کمی یوگا and this and that. خواهش میکنم پریس جان بفرمایید.
سلام و شب بخیر به همه. اول از همه خیلی تشکر میکنم از خانم دکتر مدنی که این شانس و این موقعیت رو به من دادن که توی این کامیونیتی بسیار عالی بتونم اینفورمیشنی رو با همه شما شیر کنم و واقعا باعث افتخاره و امیدوارم که بتونین آخر این پرزنتیشن حتما یک سری اطلاعات مفید رو به خانه ببرید و یه سری ویدیو هم در آخرش هست که ما اونها رو ریویو خواهیم کرد. من سعی می‌کنم در 1 ساعت این اطلاعات رو با شما شیر کنم. خیلی اکسایتد بودم، خیلی اطلاعات زیاده ولی خب فعلا توی همین 1 ساعت جمع‌آوریش کردم و بعدش رو اختصاص میدیم به سوال و پرسش و اینکه ممنونم که به این پرزنتیشن گوش میدید. من شیر میکنم اسکرینم رو با شما. شروع میکنیم. So the presentation is about fitness and wellness, and there is a reason behind having this fitness and wellness all together because they're hand to hand. So I want to start with a very small story that's about how we started having this FitWell program. My job required to meet people in person and talk to them, and they walk me through their fitness and wellness story, injuries, and anything that's going on based on their lifestyle. And then we work on the injuries, their nutrition, and whatever they need to reach their fitness goals. And from there, we work together. After the pandemic hit, so we couldn't meet each other, and everything was behind the screen. So everything's changed. The skill of listening changed, and also the skill of coaching changed, and also everything based on the nutrition changed. So we decided to come up with the solution. And here's the information about the solution that I'm going to share with you guys. So after the pandemic hit, the diets become unhealthier because that was very stressful time and people were having the very stressful life financially, mentally, physically, and even isolated at home. And also being physically active dropped worldwide about 50%. So this is how the pandemic changed our lifestyle. So in a nutshell, FitWell is short for fitness and wellness, how to stay healthy and fit at home, having a fitness routine and tips and tricks to implement on our daily basis. And also essential wellness and well-being tips and tricks that will help you to boosting your immune system. Also, we can see it from the positive aspect of um, seeing everything is not just hitting us because, so let's say this way. So the pandemic could be a better time to manage a longevity routine. Why? Because definitely we're going to spend less time in traffic, and we're all aware of the fact that we need to boost up our immune system, get stronger, and also we have less gathering, and obviously we have less fatty and unhealthy foods. And we live on an uncertainty that we need to be mentally and physically stronger. So how exactly pandemic lifestyle is different from our pre-pandemic lifestyle? Between the self-isolation, working from home, and many business and facilities being closed, coronavirus has resulted in more sedentary lifestyle for many of us. So we work remotely and we basically do everything from home. And we sitting behind the camera or having Zoom meeting back to back. Even doctors having their patients like with seeing them behind the screen. So that led both us to emotional and physical impacts, that feeling very isolated and also feeling like we're doing less activity, and moving will drop maybe 50, even 60% uh, under the potential of the activity level. When the pandemic hit, we all started to notice that we are going to have a whole different lifestyle. Besides the boosting up our immune system and also working on our strength, we need to add rest and technically work on our physical activity to make sure we have enough blood flow, and also we have the ability to keep our joints and our digestion system and our metabolism in order. The impacts of pandemic in our lifestyle will cause us having poor physical and mental health, increased disease specificity, morbidity and mortality risk, insulin sensitivity and lipid metabolism, increased visceral fat. In older population, the reduction in daily steps, and at the end of the day will cause maybe losing 4% of their leg muscles and also fracture the hip. And after all, causes advancing the aging process. However, there's always a solution, and small changes will make a big and huge impact. So how we can cope with this situation? So there are some key components that before we starting with going to the guidelines, that we might need to come up with some small changes. We might need to have a calendar to just meet with having a meeting with ourselves to work out, to work on our flexibility, to work on our strength, mobility, and keep up our joints more mobile and more not fragile. Daily physical activity following numbers and guidelines. People really like numbers. So we need to know like how many steps, how many days a week, and how much calorie we need to take based on the pandemic situation. And also we need to learn the basic of healthy meals preparation and routine, knowing and understanding our goals and needs, our fitness goals, our wellness needs. And also, we might need to update our blood work. So, annual blood work, that's something that we need to know, because based on that, we might need to do some things extra or even do less. For example, vitamin D. We definitely need to know about vitamin D. That's very essential in this situation. We need to consult with our primary physician, because every single person would be different. For example, the specific number of vitamin D for one person would be okay. For other person, if they have like a thyroid issue, will be different. So definitely we need to consult with our primary physician. We need to be consistent. So anything less than 3 months, not giving us the good results. It might be there, but after 2 weeks, we might disappear. So we need to be consistent. And also we need to be ready to commit to our health and well-being. So we have six guidelines that we need to follow just for today. So we have more, but for today, we're going to cover these 6 facts. The first one, we need to meet enough sleep and recovery hours criteria. So sleep is very crucial and essential to keep our immune system, at least maintaining our immune system, not even boosting it, just maintaining it. The second one, activity level and daily steps based on our fitness story. Why we call the fitness story here? Because we might heard of 8,000 to 10,000 steps every day, but for every person would be different based on the injury or based on the hip situation or lower back situation, the number will be different. Also, we need to have daily sun exposure. This one again might be different based on the country and the place that you live. You might have less, or the weather might be so cold that you can't go even outside. That one again will be different. We're going to cover it. And also daily water and mineral intake based on our needs and restriction. For sure, every single of us heard about 8 to 10 cups every single day, but again, would be different based on the needs and based on the blood work. It might need like little more, and how we can stay hydrated better. That would be the other tricks that we're going to cover. Daily amounts of macro intakes based on our BMR and DC. So we can find out about our daily calories. Like based on that, we can find out about our macros. And from there, we can find out about our metabolism. And from there, we can work on our weight management. Last one is the daily flexibility, mobility routines that we can have every day, daily meditation and breathing treatment that we all going to be covered. Number one, meet enough sleep recovery hours criteria. And why is that? So it is recommended every single person, every adult, in average having something between 7 to 8 hours. And why is that? Sleep is the time that we're going to regenerate, rebuild, and recover every damage that happens on a day. So if you are like having the tissue that been damaged, you're going to cover it. Your digestion system will be covered. And the most importantly, we're going to cover every damage and waste that happens to our brain. Let's walk you through how many hours would be fine and okay to help you to get there. So in average, every single cycle of sleep will be 90 minutes. We have two different way and two phase of sleep, REM and non-REM. REM is rapid eye movement and non-REM is non-rapid eye movement. So for example, if you go to bed 10 p.m., so you need to at least having 7 to 8 hours. And we have 5 sleep cycles, and each cycle is 90 minutes. So you about having 7 to 8 hours to meet your REM and non-REM sleep phase to recover your tissues, your brain, your digestion system, and maintain a healthy metabolism. So if you want to find out what time you can go to bed and when it's the best time to wake up, you can start at your wake up time and work back 7.5 hours back to find out about the best bedtime for yourself. So sleep hygiene and the impact of a sleep deprivation on the brain and the body. Poor sleep hygiene let's go, no, goes back. Okay, so poor sleep hygiene linked to a lack of cognitive performance and more brain waste. As I told you, we have two phases of sleep, REM and non-REM. The second part of our sleep is mostly helping us to remove the waste of the brain. The brain does most of the housekeeping while we're sleeping. And so, see, if you are just having 4 to 5 hours of sleep, basically we're not helping our brain to remove the waste. And the next day, you might crave for more sugary stuff. You need more caffeine. You might can't make a very, very like uh, essential decisions. and also you might having a short temper. They all happen when you are not meeting the second half of your sleep. So brain will do the most part of removing the waste and cleaning up and hygiene everything in the second part of our sleep. So sleeping just for 5 to 6 hours might be okay, but it's not enough to clear the waste from our brain. Poor sleep hygiene likely reduce the efficiency of the brain, and prolonged periods of poor sleep will result like the having poor decision, and in the long term will cause you to having disturbed sleep. After a while, if you're not meeting the second half of your sleep, you might not even to having a quality sleep. You will feel like, okay, 5 hours will be enough for me. But the reason behind is like you never had a quality sleep and your body can't fall asleep deeply. Okay. Also, if you're not meeting the second half of your sleep, you might having a poor digestion. You might having a very slow bowel movement. And also at the end, you might gain weight. When you sleep, your digestion system continues to work. The tissue and the area that they need to grow and repair, they are rebuilt when you're sleeping. The digestive system uses glucose that you consume during the day as a fuel to do all this process. However, if you eat a large meal immediately before you going to bed, you're not giving the digestive system adequate time to rest and your digestion continues while you're asleep. So I want you to remember these three numbers, 3, 12, and 6. These golden numbers is the numbers that will help us to come up with a routine that we can take advantage of having a good sleep and also eating and also providing enough energy to do our regular task on a day and also sleep better to have a very functional brain the next day. So let me explain to you what is number 3. The number 3 is the gap that you need to have between the last meal and your time of sleep. For example, if you want to go to sleep at 11 p.m., you need to be done with every meal at 8 p.m. And during these 3 hours, you better to hydrate using herbal teas and try to avoid any meal. If you just start to getting to this habit, it's okay to having some snacks, but we better to let our digestion system to be at rest and sleep better to help our digestion system to recover better and having a better productive day the next day. What is number 12? Number 12 is the gap between the last meal and the next meal the day after. That's why we call it break fast. Basically, we're going to breaking our fast when we have the first meal the day after. If you had your last meal 8 p.m., it's better to have the next meal like for sure something after 8 a.m. In that case, you let your digestion system to clear up every single waste and make the pathway between your brain and your gut cleaner. And you can receive and you can send the signal much better from your brain to your gut, from your gut to your brain. And what is number 6? Number 6 is the gap between your daily meals. If you had your breakfast or the first meal of the day at 8 a.m., it's nice and it's more wise to have the next one at 2 p.m. Again, if you just get into this habit, it totally makes sense to feel hungry and having some snacks between, but it is ideal to try having 6 hours gap between daily meals. And these three numbers is really essential during the pandemic because we have close to 50% less activity. And if we implement these three numbers, we can have a better metabolism. I don't recommend more than 12 hours, especially for females. It's like a very huge subject. We're not going to cover it today, but let's just try 12 hours at most. And again, if you're just getting to this habit, you need to practice, you need to be patient. Even if you need a snack, go for it. That's totally fine. But we're going to try having these gaps. Also, the immune system is also closely linked to our sleep. When a person is sleep deprived, the immune system creates an excess pro-inflammatory cytokines. So, cytokines. So we already going through so many inflammation. So these inflammation causes us to not having good sleep, not having good digestion system, and also we cannot have like that much relaxed hormones in our body. Basically, cortisol, stress hormones, already give us so much inflammation. You might even having some food sensitivity that you're going to have more inflammation in your body. You might have some injury. So many things happening to our body. So we better to keep our digestion system cleaner to not going through more inflammation. Number two, we had 6 guidelines. So this is number 2, activity level and daily steps based on our fitness history. So activity level by itself, it means how much physically or how physically active someone's lifestyle is. So ask this question like from yourself. How much active you are? Like how you like regulate everything. Are you having a sedentary job? Do you have kids? Do you have like some errands to do outside of your house? Are you doing any physical activity like hiking, biking, walking? Have you ever exercised during this pandemic? Ask this question. On average, every single person, adult, needs to do at least 150 minutes physical activity per week. Or let's say 5 days a week, 30 minutes, 3 days a week, about 50 minutes, or every day around 20 minutes. Are we doing this? If not, so we are not physically active, but we can start from somewhere. The next that is very, very important is how many steps does average person needs to make to just maintain the metabolism? How many steps you make on a daily basis? If you don't know, we can start from today. Some of the heart rate monitors or watch, they already calculated. Or if it's not a case for you, don't worry, you can just measure, you can just count it. Or again, if it's too boring for you, I will tell you this. If you go for a walk for an hour, you're probably going something to making something around 4,000. And again, if you're just going to start walking, let's focus just on time, not the number of steps. But again, we need some number to stick to it to make sure that we have some progression. Starting tomorrow, if I'm going to commit to my wellness and well-being, I'm going to walk for 30 minutes and I will make sure the next day I will make again 30 minutes. And for a week, I keep doing this. And then from there, the next week, I'm going to make it for 35 minutes. And then from there, for 8 weeks total, I'm going to make 1 hour, and that would be around 4,000 steps. This is just the beginning, and we are going to make it more, but every 6 to 8 weeks, you can make a huge progression over your steps and over your daily activity. It's a good idea to find out how many steps you make, but you don't have to count it. You can go with miles or you can go with time. Again, 30 minutes to an hour or 4,000 up to 12,000. Benefits of walking. So walking has a huge effect on your lower back. How? So basically with walking, We can have lower back hygiene from prolonged sitting. This is one of the best remedies for lower back issues. I think 60% of people who are having a desk job, they're always complain of feeling sore the next day or even during the day. Walking will help you to remove the soreness from your back. But again, if you're just going to start walking and making as a habit, try to make it a little less than 30 minutes to let your body get used to it. And also it will ease the digestion and also will help with the detoxification and regulate our standard metabolism. And again, insist on the standard. It's just maintaining the metabolism. It doesn't have like a boosting effect. It's just maintaining the standard. Number three, daily sun exposure. So if you live in Southern California, definitely you have a chance to take advantage of having the sun out and walking and taking natural vitamin D. The beauty of taking natural vitamin D is like you're going to have every single bond. Yes, of course, we can have supplements, but taking the natural vitamin D from the sun, that's a very different way of taking vitamin D. And also vitamin D, it's very effective in our immune system. And also it will help us to having a better calcium metabolism. We can pull out the calcium from the bone with having enough vitamin D, and we can make that happen with enough movement. So the best way to take vitamin D is the time that you go for a walk. You move, you're taking it, you help your calcium to be ready to be pulled out and use it when you need it. So regular sun exposure is the most natural way to get enough vitamin D. But if you live somewhere that you don't have the sun out there that much or the weather it's too cold, so we can take advantage of good quality supplement, vitamin D supplement. And also again, it's nice to consult with your doctor to find out how much you need and which brand that you need to take. And I here really recommend you to, if you're taking supplement vitamin D, make sure you have enough source of vitamin A. We don't need to take vitamin A with the supplement. We can have vitamin A from seaweed, or we can have it from a spirulina, or also we can have it from carrot. Vitamin A, D, C, E, they're essential minerals during the pandemic. I'm sure you all heard of like which minerals and vitamins you need to take during the pandemic. But again, if you're not moving enough, if the movement is not there, your body can't absorb and it's just wasting the minerals and you basically can't absorb. So we need to take supplement with enough activity. Number four, daily water intake to balance the appetite and do the better weight management. Yes, drinking enough water and hydrating the body will help us to keep our body maintaining the good and healthy weight. So proper hydration is the key, not only to making sure we stay alert and energized, but also to keeping everything functioning in our body. 6 to 8 glasses of water could be minimum intake for an average person. But how we can stay hydrated? Sometimes just drinking water wouldn't be enough. So if you're drinking in water and you still feel like you are thirsty or you having some like sensitive skin or feeling sluggish or having dry eyes or your heart rate increase out of a sudden or you have headache constantly, you feel dizzy or feeling hungry even less than an hour after eating, you might need to come up with the tricks to hydrate better from your water. Add a little of lime or have some cinnamon in your water or have some ginger to help your body come up with the electrolyte situation and absorb more minerals from your water. And you might be surprised if you find out what can feel like a hungry pang is actually thirst. Pause and ask yourself, you're really hungry or you can just be thirsty? Yes, sometimes if you're not really familiar with the signal coming from your gut, and it might happen because you didn't have enough sleep, or you had too sugary or too salty food, or you might have some junk foods, you might miss signaling, feeling thirsty, and you feel like, okay, maybe I'm hungry again. So again, try to keep yourself hydrated to make sure that you are not dehydrated and feeling hungry instead of feeling thirsty. So we better stay hydrated before we feel thirsty. If you feel thirsty, your body already been dehydrated, sorry. So now it's a time to get to know your resting heart rate, your maximum heart rate, and the work zone of your heart rate. What is resting heart rate? A normal resting heart rate for an adult range from 60 to 100 beats per minute. Generally, a lower heart rate at rest implies more efficient heart function and better cardiovascular fitness. So let's talk about better cardiovascular fitness. If you decide to go for a walk at least 4 to 5 days a week, we're going to start measure our resting heart rate. How we can do that? When you still feel sleepy and you're just about to wake up, that's the best and accurate time to measure your resting heart rate. Or there are some heart rate monitors like Apple Watch or like Polar or the other brands that you can have, and then they're going to measure your resting heart rate. Or you can ask your physician. They already know, they already have your resting heart rate in your document. But if you are not seeing your doctor more than 3 months, I highly recommend do it by yourself, write it down, and make sure again measure it 6 weeks after that you've been consistent with your walking and exercising. And if it drops from like 60 to 58, woohoo, you made a lot of progress on your cardiovascular status. What is maximum heart rate? So you can calculate your maximum heart rate by subtracting your age from 220. For example, if someone's like age 20, so 220 minus 20 will be 200. That would be the max heart rate. From there, finding out about your work zone or the heart rate that you can, knowing it to work from there on your cardiovascular capacity will happen after you find out your maximum heart rate. Again, if someone is 20, so minus 220 will be 200. That would be maximum heart rate. Finding out the work zone, the zone that you're going to work on to boosting your cardiovascular status will come from your maximum heart rate and the percentage of that. I will give you brief explanation. Someone with age 20 having 200 as a max heart rate. This person want to go for a walk and needs to go for a walk a percentage between 70 to 75%. In that case, that person having a range to stay in that range to work on the cardiovascular capacity in 6 to 8 weeks. We'll go over it after we're done. I know you guys having a lot of questions over these three numbers, but they are really essential to find out how you can stay active and how you can make some improvement. We go again explain it, but again, let me jump into a heart rate zone. Heart rate zone is the zone that we need to stay and we need to make progress every 6 to 8 weeks if we decide to be consistent on our physical activity. Again, heart rate zone, heart rate range is the scale and range that we need to work on for 6 to 8 weeks if we want to make improvement in our cardiovascular status and in our physical activity. Daily amount of number 5, it's about macros. We're not going very deep into this subject. It's more like diet and it's more nutritional. And that's not my expertise. You need to consult with your physician, but we're going to over some general information. Daily amount of macros intake based on our basal metabolic rate and daily calorie needs. What are our macros? Protein, carbohydrates, and fats. So if you go to the FDA, they usually start with the carbohydrate and they will give you the different percentage. But we find out that if you are staying at home, the percentage needs to be changed. That's why we have the protein as a priority. We have a different percentage for carbohydrates and definitely different percentage for the fat. As you see, there is a range, and based on your situation and your lifestyle and how busy you are, we're going to change the percentage. But as you see, for the most part, we need to consume carbohydrate, then protein and fat. As you see, fat and protein, they have the same percentage, but this is just for the pandemic. This is for the time that you're mostly at home. And because you're sitting more, we have more percentage on fats. Otherwise, if you're not sitting at home that much and you're not working remotely, these percentage will be changed. These are just for this situation. And what is BMR? Basal metabolic rate. Very beautiful 4-digit number that we're going to work and find out what is this number for every single person. This is a number of calories required to keep just body functioning the very basic functions. Technically, it will just keep you alive. And basal metabolic rate will mostly goes to your metabolic rate, and sometimes they call it as a metabolism. And here's why we need enough rest and sleep. If you're not having enough sleep and you're not having enough recovery time, after long term, you're going to ruin your metabolic rate and you're going to ruin your metabolism. Most of this number will be damaged and will be neglected if you are not meeting the second half of your sleep. So to maintain your metabolism, you need to sleep better, having quality sleep. And here's a note here: sleep, exercising, and nutrition. These three will help us to having a better metabolism. If you're exercising and having the best diet ever and not sleeping enough, you're not having a healthy metabolism. And if you sleep enough and not having good nutrition plan and exercise often, again, you're not going to have that. So these three hand to hand will help you to maintain, and with exercising, boosting your metabolism. What is daily calorie needs? Calorie you need to eat per day based on your daily activity level, age, restrictions, and fitness goals. So for example, you've been injured. You are going to have different calorie needs compared to the time that you were more active. Like the situation that we have less activity, so we're going to have less calorie need compared to the time that we were working in our office or having the kids to pick up from the school or so many errands to run. So we have a different lifestyle. If you're less active, you have less calorie needs. Again, note that. If you have less activity, you have less needs of calorie. Number 6, daily flexibility, mobility routine, and daily meditation and breathing technique. What is flexibility? The ability to move the joints through their full range of motion. So the joints it's more related to your muscles. And when it comes to flexibility routine, there are exercises that will help you improve the ability of joints to maintain the movement necessary for carrying out daily tasks and physical activity. So if you're not like talking about physical activity, and if you're just sitting behind your desk and having your meetings, having your job, and just eating and preparing the meal and having the daily task, is still you need some flexibility. Otherwise, after sitting for a long time behind the desk, you're feeling sore on your back, you might neglecting your hip joints, and even you're going to have more pressure over your knee. So there are kinetic change, they're all connected. So having less flexibility, you're going to ruin your joint. And also from there, you're going to have less flexibility on your muscles. And from there, you're feeling pain, even if you're walking, climbing the stairs, any activity will bother you. So these routines will help you to just the maintaining the health of your joints. They're not helping you to having more flexibility. They're just maintaining the health of your muscles. And we have two major techniques. We have static stretches and dynamic stretches. We're going to like cover these information after we're done with the presentation, but static stretches is really essential if you're having a desk job, and dynamic stretches are really, really essential if you want to start exercising. What is mobility? The range of motion that occurs in the articulation between bones. As I mentioned, flexibility is more linked and related to muscles, and mobility is more about bones. So when you can move your legs freely away from your hip, away from your midline, basically you are having enough mobility. But if you want to have your legs to the side and you feel pain on your knee or discomfort on your hip, you already miss some portion of your mobility because you were sitting for too long behind the desk, your hip was closed, your knee was inward, and your hip kind of like lost the half of the range of the motion. And from there, you're going to feel pain on your back, on your knees, and even you might feel in your neck. Yes, they're related. If you're suffering your hip joints, you might feel pain on your neck. And if you are suffering your neck from sitting behind a computer and not having a proper posture, you might neglecting your knee joint. They're far away, but they're really connected. Mobility routine. Mobility routine is related to the joints and their ability to move actively through their full range of motion. So full range of motion of every joint, it's very crucial and essential to having a better bone density. So we all heard that if you're not use it, you're gonna lose it. If you're not using your hip mobility and you're not working on your hip or knee or ankle mobility, after a while, you're going to suffer from not having enough range. And from there, you're going to losing density. Now it comes to daily meditation and breathing. So daily meditation and breathing is the skill and is like very important during this time to try to have some stress management. So let's start talk about breathing. If we're having our hands on our stomach and try to breathe in, we need to feel like our navel coming out, and as exhale, we feel more relaxed on our stomach. Let's try having one hand on our chest and one on our stomach. Again, as you breathe in, you might feel a little more proud on your chest, having your shoulder elevated. And as you exhale, you might feel your shoulders going down. But as a person who live in town and dealing with a lot of daily stresses and a daily stressor, we might just using the portion of our muscles that we can breathe in, that they are mostly close to our neck. That causes us having a very tight muscles around our neck and also not taking advantage of fully inhale that we can have from the other muscles that are close mostly to our hip. Yes, they're close to our hip. Also, having a better breathing will help us to avoid having back pain. So again, I want to ask you, having one hand on your chest and one other hand on your stomach. Try to breathe in and feel how much you can feel more proud on your chest, how much you can feel your navel, and from your exhale, going back to a very normal and shoulder down, relaxed position. But if you're sitting behind a computer and if you have meeting or if you have your daily task, probably you just breathing from your neck muscles, scaling muscles. And these muscles become very short and they're not providing you enough oxygen. Here comes with the daily meditation and breathing techniques. So here, before you go to bed and after you wake up, you can practice on having your hands on your stomach, one on your chest. Just take it 10 deep breathing, working on having more chest proud and exhaling with having your shoulders go back to your normal position and try to have inhale in 2 counts and exhale in 2 counts. After you feel more confident, you can have it longer. You can work having your inhale in 3 counts and having your exhale in 3 counts. It will ask you for having 20 to 30 seconds spending time just breathing, but it will help you to calm your mind down and also having a better sleep and start your day better. So now let's get to the real work, how we can implement all this information in our current situation. How to get quality sleep, REM plus non-REM, to improve metabolic rate. So if you having Zoom call or Zoom meeting back to back, if you're sitting behind a computer, if you're working with the digital or like tech devices, you are exposing yourself with blue lights. Blocking blue lights and having less technology, or at least using blue light blockers will help you to having better sleep. So having blue light will cause having delay on the hormone that will help us to having better sleep, or maybe not even having it. So we all heard of melatonin. So if you heard of it, or if not, that's a hormone that will associate with the control of the sleep. We can take it naturally with having some chamomile tea or lavender tea or unsweetened hot cocoa. They are not having calories. They could be consumed that 3 hours gap that we talk about it after the last meal till your sleep time. You can consume and drinking these herbal teas and having a better time to secreting melatonin in your bloodstream. And from there, you can have better sleep and you can improve in your metabolic rate. So the main fuel to regulate all the function during the sleep is fat. So if we like not having enough sleep, we cannot regulate and we cannot manage the fat burn that we're supposed to have during our sleeping time. We need to have REM and non-REM sleep to meet the criteria of healthy metabolic rate. We burning fat during the sleeping time to regulate everything and having the function of our kidneys, heart, breathing, and like everything that body needs to maintain when we're sleeping. So that fuel will be fat. So basically, we're burning fat when we're sleeping. That's why when you're exercising, you're working on your metabolic rate. You're working on gaining more muscles to have a little better metabolism, to burn better fat mass when you sleeping. And also, again, get back to those three numbers, 3, 12, and 6. Last meal, 3 hours before sleeping time. Have a 12 hours gap between the last meal and the first meal the day after, and try to have 6 hours gap between meals on a daily basis. And if you want to find out if you ever having a good sleep, or your sleep is like a quality sleep, after you wake up, ask yourself, am I feeling fatigued? Do I need to go back to sleep? If the answer is yes, you probably need more. Exercise and activity at home, or preferably not in public. So strength training 2 to 3 times per week. What it means is strength training. Anything against gravity, anything that you need to push, pull, and resist against the gravity, we call it strength training. Improve muscle mass and bone density, having a better metabolism, having a better hormonal balance, and having a regulate appetite, they all will happen if you have enough strength training. Strength training could be with your just body weight. It could just be resistance training with weights, or it could be the other equipments. Anything again against the gravity will be as a strength training, but it requires professional consultation and knowing the physical limitation and the past injuries that you have. If you want to start doing strength training, it's very, very important to know your past injuries and start to like ask and find about the best way that it works and suits with your body type, and also find out that which equipment is better for you. Maybe it's nice and it's wise to start just with your body weight if you are not used to do any strength training. Cardio training, 2 to 4 times per week. So 2 to 4 times per week will improve your metabolism and also will improve the capacity of your cardiovascular status, improving the number of daily steps and working on your pace and speed will help you to work on your cardio. So the cardio will mostly help your heart muscles, and it's not just about your body muscles, it's mostly about your heart muscles. And both together, strength training and cardio training will help you to boost up your metabolism, gaining more muscle, and after all, having a healthier body. Pandemic rule: 7 hours of steps in a week. So basically, because of the pandemic, we need to move, or we need to make a little more steps. But if you're really new of like walking and making the steps, we better work on your heart rate and the time instead of just the number of steps. Mobility and flexibility. SMR, foam rolling, static stretches, and mobility works. So there are different ways and there are different tools that you can work on your mobility and flexibility. One of them is self-myofascial release, or SMR, or some people they call it foam rolling, but they're a little different. And the different way is the static stretches, the stretches that you're going to hold more than 20 seconds. And the mobility works that they're a little like different. They're not concept of flexibility, but they can stay and they can work all together to give you the best benefit. So the importance of sun exposure in this situation. So if you decide to like expose yourself with not very direct sunlight, it's nice to schedule your walking when still the sun is out, and also after a big meal. They're all together will give you the best package to manage the digestion, also maintaining good metabolism, and also hygiene the lower back issues, and again keep up with the situation that you weren't active that much. Lower back hygiene and digestion hygiene, they're all going to happen if you making like enough steps after you have your meal. So if you have a chance to walk outside, try to schedule it after your big meal, and taking some natural vitamin D before the insulin drops too much. So if you are eating already and if you wait too long, you are not going to have that much energy to go for a walk. It's nice to having your walk very, very close to finishing time of your meal. Try to schedule that. It's not like something that everyone can make it, but if you can, that would be great and that will work differently on your body. And also it would reverse the sedentary lifestyle and will bring us and bring the style of hunter-gatherer style. Before, our ancestors used to like hunter and gather, so we still have that in our system, but because of the technology and the situation that we all live in, the modern life that we have, we kind of lost it. This is a good time. This is a time that we can bring that up again in our lifestyle. After you eat, you can go for a walk and train your body that every fuel and nutrients that we provide for our body, that's for a reason to keep up the metabolism, keep the muscles, to avoid any disruption on our aging. Educate and train your metabolism will happen if you're making enough activity. So if you stay active and you eat enough, you basically educate and train your metabolism to saying and sending this message to your body. If I'm giving you these nutrients, I will make you to stay active, to avoiding blood clots, to avoiding high cholesterol, and also regulate the insulin. So there's a term that is called winter is coming. Constantly, we're sending this message to our body. Most of the times, when the weather, not most of the times, when the weather is cold, we're going to store more fat. That's the nature of our body. We need more fat when the weather is more cold to provide more safety for our cells, organs, and try to survive from the cold weather. But nowadays, we don't have the situation that much, but we still have this status in our cells. When you are not having enough activity and you are eating the same, basically you keep sending this message to your body, hey, winter is coming, so I'm giving you fuel to keep me safe. In this case, your body, because it will keep it want like your body want to keep you safe, store more fat to try to keep you safe. So if you're just eating and not moving, you constantly send this message to your body, winter is coming, you need to keep me safe, so you need to store more fat for me. And even when you're exercising, your body still want to keep you safe and you're not losing fat. That's why some people, they feel like they drink water and they still not losing, they drink water and still gaining more fat. That's the reason, because they already ruined the signaling and messaging their body. They're going to having more, like they're going to have hard time to losing fat because the body still is in a phase that winter is coming and I need to provide more safety for this system. So we try to train our body to stay more active, to reverse this message that you can use this fat mass to keep me more active and give me more safety when I'm sleeping, burning more fat mass to help me to have a better productive day the next day, keep my heart rate on a very, very healthy phase, and also removing clots from my vessels, and also having a better cardiovascular status if I'm climbing the stairs, if I'm running errands, or if I do my daily tasks. Daily water intake and hydration. So water and human body, basically they're like we kind of like, if we know the percentage of the water in our body, will be surprised. The human body major component is water. 60 to even close to 70% is water. Dehydration. When you dehydrated, you lose blood volume, which causes your blood to get thicker. That makes it harder for your heart to supply that blood to your muscles. As your heart works harder to pump that blood, dehydration shown to increase blood viscosity. So if you're not drinking enough water, you basically damaging the vessel and blood, making more blood clots over your heart. So water is essential to keep your heart healthier. Water is water is going to clear the pathway from the brain and the gut. Dehydration causes more waste in this pathway. So the pathway between brain and gut needs to be clear with enough dehydration. That's why some people don't feel full after the eating, or some people feel hungry very soon after they just eat. Body needs to work harder to digest and regulate the other function. So if you are not drinking enough water, your body needs to work harder to regulate everything. It means that will drop the insulin level that you already had enough, but because your body has some delay, the messaging will be different. So your body will dropping the insulin to ask you to like giving more fuel to regulate everything faster because you've been dehydrated. Daily amount of macros intake based on your basal metabolic rate and your daily calorie needs. So carbohydrate, as FDA recommend, will be 40 to 65%, and protein will be 10 to 35%, and fat to 20 to 35%. But as we talk, and as I mentioned during the pandemic, this percentage could be different. But again, you need to consult with your physician and find out how much you need. And based on that, you can work on a different percentage if you want to gain more muscle, if you want to lose fat, or if you just want to maintain. And again, here, as I mentioned, pandemic macros recommendation, carbohydrate, something between 45 to 55%, protein, 20 to 35%, and fat, 20 to 30%. And basal metabolic rate multiplied to daily activity plus the thermic effect of food will give you the daily calorie needs. Basal metabolic rate is the number that we talk, it will be just when you're sleeping or resting. Daily activity will be something that additional, if you have it, you're going to have different daily calorie needs. And thermic effect of food, it means based on the food choices that you have, your body will work differently to provide you more heat. And based on that, you might need different needs. For example, if you are having protein, your body needs to work harder to digest. So it is smart to having protein to work more and also taking the benefits of having more amino acids in your body. Protein and carbohydrate, they're having the same calorie, but they have a different effect of food. If you are about to eat something that have some potato and have some meat, your body will have different way of digestion, even they have the same number of digit as a calorie. So if you are consuming meat, your body needs to work harder to digest that food. But if you have the mashed potato or potato on the side, your body works way less to digest that. So it is smart to having protein instead of carbohydrate to give your body more chance to work harder and also feel less hungry. But again, you have the different percentage of protein consumption and carbohydrate consumption. Based on that, you can work on which could be the best to help your body to work harder, making more thermic effect of food and also digest slower to keep your body healthier and also provide you more amino acid and essential nutrients instead of just fast fuel, especially during the pandemic. Daily flexibility, mobility routine, and daily meditation breathing technique or treatment. So flexibility through the static and dynamic stretches with foam roll or SMR techniques. We have a video, we're going to over it. Muscle that they need to be relaxed, most importantly for individuals who have lower back issues. Those muscles, they are calf, hamstring, quadriceps, glutes, upper and mid back. Breathing techniques, one would be belly breathing, the one that you can have your hands on your stomach, and navy breathing, the one that I explained that you can work from 2 seconds up to 4-5 seconds for your inhale and exhale, or 2 counts up to 4-5 counts. And 505 breathing, again, this one is kind of the same with the navy breathing, but exception here, the 0 shows the pause between your inhale and exhale. Basically, your inhale will be 5 counts. Between, you're going to have a pause, brief pause, and exhale will be 5 counts or 5 seconds. Heart belly breathing, the one that I ask you to have in one hand on your stomach and one hand on your chest. And core engagement breathing. We don't have time here to cover this, but this one will help you to engage your core much better and also having a better breathing. Smiling breathing, it's one of the techniques that you can work on stress release and also bring the more happy feelings in your body if you had a hard time. Meditation after you wake up and before you go to bed, you can do that while you're breathing. You can work on your breathing and do the meditation. They're hand to hand. And we are done with these slides, and I will pause my screen share. And is there any question, I would be more than happy to answer your questions. خب این حرکت ویدیو اول، من اول از همه برای شما فوم رولینگ رو میذارم چون فکر میکنم الان خیلی در موردش زیاد صحبت میشه و همه دوست دارن بدونن این فوم رول چیه. ببینیم من اینو قطعش کنم آهنگشو. فوم رول این لوله های حالا یکم از این بلندتر یا به همین اندازه هستن. آپر بک ما اگر که از لور بک جدا باشه، با گذاشتن روی این لوله هایی که در واقع PVC هستن و وزنی ندارن، مقداری از تنشنشون کم خواهد شد. زمانی رو که شما روی این میگذرونین باید چیزی حتما بیشتر از 20 ثانیه باشه و نفس کشیدن یکی از بزرگترین کلیدهای استفاده از این نوع. اینجا من دارم آپر بک رو همونجور که میبینین فوم رول میکنم. فوم رول ابتداعاً باید یه مقدار با حرکت کمک کنه که عضله گرم بشه تا اجازه بده به عضله تا اون پیغام ریلکسی رو به مغز برسونه. 20 ثانیه حداقل طول میکشه که این پیغام به مغز رسیده بشه. برای همین we need to spend time. نمیتونیم یه دقیقه روی فوم رول بمونیم، یعنی مثلا 1 ثانیه رو فوم رول، 5 ثانیه رو فوم رول بمونیم و توقع داشته باشیم کمکی به عضلات میکنیم. اینجا آپر لگ داره اتفاق میفته. این عضله‌ایه که ما بیشتر هر روز باهاش سر کار داریم و معمولاً شورت میشه. همش میشینیم، درایو میکنیم، راه میریم، هر کاری میکنیم این عضله شورت میشه. از بالای زانو تا هیپ بون ما در واقع کوادریسپس ما یا آپر لگ یا هیپ فلکسور ها هستن که خیلی همیشه گره های زیادی دارن. کناره پا که یه بند خیلی بلندی هست که عضله نیست، یکی از اون چیزهایی که باعث میشه ما زانو درد بگیریم، چون زیاد میشینیم این بند بلند که بازم میگم عضله نیست کوتاه میشه، چون جریان خون توش وجود نداره. خیلی اتفاق میفته که زود کوتاه بشه و باعث شه که فرض کنیم که یعنی اتفاق میفته که فکر کنیم زانو درد داریم. این در واقع یه بندیه که من دارم روش فوم رول میکنم، ولی یه عضله خیلی کوچولو هم بالاش هست. این ساق پا که بیچاره همیشه فشار اولیه جاذبه روش هست، یکی از مهمترین عضلاتی که نیاز داره استرچه، برای اینکه یه رگی از پشت زانو میگذره که این رگ اگه که به اندازه کافی کفمون استرچ نکنیم، یکی از دلایل اصلی جمع شدن کلات و یا در اتفاقات بزرگتر ممکنه حتی کلات توی قلب باشه، چون پمپاژ قلبی یعنی در واقع فرستادن قسمت دوم از فاز ایجاد کردن بلاد والیوم از ساق پا صورت میگیره، از نزدیک به زمین صورت میگیره. برای همین این قسمت حتما بهتر ریلکس باشه. این قسمت که الان دارم من فوم رولش میکنم در واقع سیت بون ماسل ما هستن که همیشه بیچاره ها کوتاهن، قوی نیستن، به هیپ وصلن و اینقدر که کوتاهن باعث میشن که ما همه چی رو کامپنسیت کنیم روی لور بکمون، که حالا اصلا شما ممکنه فوم رول هم نداشته باشین، اینو بتونی انجام بدین که توی ویدیو بعدی از رو صندلی بهتون نشون دادم که چجوری میتونین این کار بکنین. و اینجا دوباره جورای مختلف دارم عضله باسن رو، عضله هیپ رو من اینجا دارم فوم رول میکنم. عضلات قسمت نشیمن سیت بون ما 3 نوع عضله هستن که یه مقدار زمان بیشتری میبره ما بتونیم اینا رو ریلکس کنیم. شاید بیشتر از اینکه ریلکسشون کنیم نیاز داشته باشیم قویشون کنیم، ولی خب من اینجا همه عضلات رو کاور کردم. این عضله اداکتوره، این عضله نزدیک کننده پا به میانه بدنه که در واقع از زانو شروع میشه تا به پلویک ما. این عضله معمولا ضعیفه، ازش خیلی کار گرفته نمیشه زمانی که ما پشت میز نشین شدیم و رانندگی میکنیم. این عضله مثل عضله باسن بیشتر از اینکه استرچه نیاز داره که قوی بشه. یکی از دلایل اصلی که آدما کمرشون درد میگیره نداشتن اینرتای قویه. حالا من اینو خیلی کوتاهش کردم، اگه دوست داشته باشین تو یوتیوب چنل هست، اینو میتونین نگاه کنین. ویدیوی بعدی استرچ یعنی که استاتیک استرچ که توضیح دادم توی سلایدا. استاتیک استرچ ها تکنیکی هستن که بهتره زمان باز هم 20 ثانیه بیشتر طول بکشن، چون اگه کمتر طول بکشن در واقع پاسخ به مغز داده، یعنی اون سیگنال به مغز داده نمیشه و مغز پاسخ مناسب رو نمیده. خیلی خوب میشه که اگه کسی فوم رول میکنه حتما این نوع استرچ ها رو هم باهاش انجام بده تا در واقع بتونه کار رو کامل کنه. همه اینا با هم شاید مثلا 10 دقیقه طول بکشه، خیلی نیست. اینجا من دارم اونی که فوم رول میکردم رو استرچ میکنم روی پا، اونی که همیشه شورت شده. دستتون رو به صندلی میگیرین که مطمئن باشین استابیلیتی دارین. اینجا باز دوباره قسمت خارجی پا رو داریم استرچ میکنیم که من داشتم با فوم رول که از کناره رولش میکردم. اینجا داریم استری میکنیم، بازم میگم بیشتر از 20 ثانیه. اینجا پشت پا رو از ساق پا تا تقریبا نصف عضله پشت پا داریم استرچ میکنیم. تکنیک این که پا رو کراس میکنیم کمک میکنه که بیشتر عضله پشت پا رو حس کنیم. اینجا کناره ترانک رو استرچ میکنیم، جایی که بیشتر موقعی که نشستیم اصلا انقدر شورت شده که خود همین باعث میشه که کمر اذیت بشه. دوباره اومدیم سراغ عضله پشت پا. یکی از کارهایی که شاید اگه بتونین هر روز انجامش بدین it has a huge impact on your knees. بازم بیشتر از 20 ثانیه نگهش دارین، خصوصا اگر تنیس بازی میکنین، اگر زیاد راه میرین، اگه ورزش هایی میکنین که کاردیو هستن، حتما کفتون رو استرچ کنین بعد از اینکه ورزشتون تموم شد. استاتیک استرچ ها جداگانه انجام بشن و بعد از ورزش انجام بشن تاثیر بیشتری داره. اینجا همون عضلات سیت بون هستن که دارن استرچ میشن، همونی که زمان بیشتری رو گذروندم توی فوم رول تا استرچش کنم. ببینید آسونه، رو صندلی نشستین، حتی میز کارتون هم باشه شما میتونین این کارا رو انجام بدین. چند دفعه شاید باید نگاش کنین که همه روتین در خاطرتون بمونه. ممکنه دفعات اول اصلا پا بالای زانو نیاد، عجیب نیست، یعنی واقعا ممکنه پا بالای زانو نیاد، ممکنه اصلا دست آدم به مچ پاش نرسه، ممکنه دست آدم به زانوش برسه، ولی کاملا اوکیه. بعد از این مدتی بدن ادپت میشه و هر دفعه شما رنج بیشتری رو تجربه خواهید کرد. این اینرت های، این همونی که گفتم قوی نیست و معمولاً عضله کوتاه شده است و شاید بهتر است که اصلا قوی بشه تا اینکه فقط استرچ بشه. همونی که گفتم ضعیف بودنش باعث میشه کمر شما بیشتر احساس درد بکنه. اینجا دوباره هنوز داریم اینرت های به روش‌های مختلف استرچ میکنیم. مقداری از استرچ روی ترانک اتفاق میفته. حالا جهت رو عوض کردم و دارم جهت دیگر استرچ میکنم. خیلی همش همونه، خیلی فرق نمیکنه. اینجا استرچ های هستش که مربوط بیشتر به بالا تنه است. من یک همین رو بزنم جلو. خب اینا ممکنه پشت میز نشسته باشین نتونین انجام بدین، ولی خب حتما یه وقتی تو روز هستش که شما یکم وقت داشته باشین. خیلی این استرچ جالب و خوشاینده. حتی به دیوارم میتونین این انجام بدین، ولی خب اینجا خیلی مشخص تر بود که البو جوینت رو یه جا گیر میدیم، یه جا استیک میکنیم، نگه میداریم و اجازه میدیم که سر از بازوها دور بشه. اینجا پایه صندلی یا هر جای دیگر شما میگیرین و یه تویست ایجاد میکنین. ممکنه دفعات اول این اتفاق نیفته، ولی بازم میگم بعد از مدتی بدن رنج بیشتری پیدا میکنه، در واقع به شما اعتماد میکنه. این خیلی سایکولوژیکلی مهمه که عضلات بعضی مدتی دیگه اعتماد ندارن که شما ازشون مراقبت میکنی و همش کوتاه میمونن که در واقع سیفتی شما رو فراهم کنن. بعد از این مدتی که شما روی استرچ کار میکنین، این پیغام به مغز داده میشه، همون 20 ثانیه‌ه که میخوره بهش میگن به گولجی تندون، به گولجی تندون ماسل میخوره و به ماسل میگه که تو میتونی ریلکس شی، الان وقت اینه که ریلکس شی، ولی مقداری زمان میبره. ویدیوی سوم، میدونم همه دیگه خسته شدین، این آخریرم ببینیم. خب این یه اجازه بدیم باز من اینو قطع کنم. خیلی ساده نشستنه، اصلا اتفاق خاصی قرار نبوده بیفته. این اولیش شما حتما روی صندلی میشینین، سیت بون رو روی صندلی احساس میکنین، جهت اینکه فیدبک مناسب به عضلات سیت بون برسه تا یاد بگیریم که سکویز کنیم عضلات سیت بونمون. اینجا پیشرفته ترش اینه که شما دیگه نمیشینین، همچنان زانوها رو ثابت نگه میدارین، میشینین بلند میشین. یکی بریجه، این برعکس اسکوات دقیقاً. این آسون ترشه، شما پا رو روی صندلی میذارین با فشار دادن اون تا حد خیلی رنج معمولی هیپ رو بالا میارین. دلیل اینکه پاهاتون فشار میدین اینه که پیغام مناسب رو به عضلاتی که قرار باشون کار کنیم برسونین که سکویز بکنیم عضلات لازم رو که هیپ رو بتونیم ثابت نگه داریم و رو کمر نباشیم. یکم پیشرفته ترشه، در واقع تاثیر بیشتری روی عضلات همسترینگ یا پشت رون داره، عضلاتی که شاید مدت هاست کاری نکردن. شاید اگه اینو 15 بار انجام بدین فرداش واقعا you gonna feel sore. دستا رو زمینه، هر دفعه که میایم پایین دوباره همون شکلی که از ابتدا شروع کردیم و میگیریم. هر تکرار انگار اولین تکراره، همه با تنفس صورت میگیره. این یکی از fundamental movements out of 7 movement. پلانک یا کمک میکنه کور قوی تری داشته باشین. اینجا یه مقدار پیشرفته ترش کردیم. اگر بتونیم سر رو ثابت نگه داریم و بدن همچنان این یک خط باشه، بله میتونیم چیزی شبیه به پوشاپ یا همون شنای سابق رو بریم، ولی لزوما نه. همه اینا ایزی و مادریت داشت. دیگه حرکت بعدی، این شاید خیلی به نظر آسون بیاد، اما اگر تمام فشار رو به سمت پایین بدیم و بدن رو بکشیم بالا، کاملا عضلات پشت رو احساس میکنیم. به نظر من کار کردن روی عضلات پشت کل بدن کمک میکنه که شما پاسچر بهتری داشته باشین و ایجینگ رو در واقع به تعویق بندازه. مادریتش اینجوریه که شما هر دفعه هی میشینین روی پاشنهاتون. اگر کسی مشکل زانو داره اون ایزی اول رو میتونه بره. همه این 4 تا روش ایزی و مادریت داشتن. این تقریبا چیزی شبیه به پولاب میمونه یا حالا بارفیکس قدیم، خیلی شبیه، در واقع برگرفته از همونه. خودتون رو به سمت بالا میکشین با فشار دادن صندلی به سمت زمین و تمام.